Hi, I'm Ginny Rosencrantz with the University of Maryland Extension. And it's April, which means that there's some beautiful things in bloom, like this gorgeous Yoshino cherry. These are the cherries that are planted around the tidal basin. So if you didn't have a chance to get to the tidal basin, just take a look around Salisbury and you'll find some beautiful examples of this gorgeous flowering cherry. Well, we're going to go ahead and do a couple of spring chores. I'm going to show you how to prune, and we are going to tackle some trees, and we're going to tackle a rose bush. We're also going to show off some of these gorgeous daffodils. So join me for Delmarva Gardens, coming up next right here on Pack 14. Okay. Springtime is a time to do a lot of things, but including the things you should do is pruning. When you're pruning, especially in the springtime, the plant is actively growing and therefore has a very, very good chance to heal up faster than if you tried to prune in the fall. That's why I recommend, if you're going to do any pruning in the fall, minimize it. Just a little bit of shaping, a little bit of tidying up, but the major part of pruning should be done in the springtime. Now there's a couple of tools that you should have. I have this pair of clippers. These are called bypass clippers, and as you see, they work like scissors, and they have a couple of good features. Like, for instance, there's this spring right here, so every time I close it and release, it opens up, so that means that I don't have to do that. There's some clippers that are very inexpensive, and you end up having to open them up and then close them and then open them up. Not good. The other thing that's really important is this has a safety feature which you can close and lock it. That is perfect because these are sharp. The difference between this one and this is called an anvil pruner. So it prunes like an anvil. This is the anvil right here. When you prune it down, it comes down like that. This should be used for pruning out dead wood, and only dead wood, because it actually crushes the wood. You don't want to do that. So what we're going to do today first is we're going to go ahead and prune up this beautiful plant right here. This is a type of magnolia. This is a type of magnolia too. So this actually has two different color flowers. You notice it has the white flowers here and it has these beautiful yellow flowers here. We bought the tree to have the yellow flowers, and all of a sudden these gorgeous white flowers came up. They're fragrant. They're really, really pretty. They're a star magnolia. So if you look at it closely, the petals look a lot like a star. Isn't that pretty? And these are starting to open too, so these are going to be very star-like also. This is actually the root stock of the yellow tree. The yellow tree is called Madam Butterfly, and it's supposed to be a beautiful yellow, which it really is. But because we have deer in the area, we had deer rub on the trunk, and it scraped the trunk so badly, if you take a look down there, that the bark actually came off the tree. When that happened, the tree became so stressed that it shot up an awful lot of branches from the roots. That helps the tree in the tree's mind that, why should I go ahead and send up the water all the way to the top of this tree when I can go ahead and just get some smaller branches and just deal with what I want to do. And actually this is a direct link to the roots, whereas the graft is a different link. So what we're going to have to do is remove the wire that we put around here to keep the deer away, and then prune everything that's there. So here we go. Part of what I have to do is I have to cut out the branches here so that I can actually pull this apart. There we go. There's that. There we go. Okay, so when I was explaining about the grassed area, if you take a look, you can see right here that this is the part of the tree that was from the roots. But you can see right here, there's like an area where it was grafted. And everything above this is the real tree. And anything below is the area where we really have to cut it out. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. Now, I'll have to come back and do some extra cutting just to clean it up. But everything that I have here, oh my goodness. I might actually have to get a saw for some of this. There we go. Now if I pull this one out, whew, you can see that it has the white flowers on it. So I know I'm cutting out the root part. There we go. There we go. Now this is kind of neat. Whenever you do pruning, you can always find some cool things. This is the egg case of a praying mantis. So rather than throw that out, I'm going to try to peel it off. Or actually, I'll cut it off and I'll leave it in the area so that when the praying mantises hatch out, they're beneficial insects. And we can go ahead and use them. So I'll just leave that right there. Now, you can see right here that I've left too much of an area. So I'm going to have to come back with a saw and saw this off. Otherwise, this will continue to sprout out right here and I'll have the same problem. There we go. When you're pruning cuts, this is really good for something small, like the size of a finger. You can go ahead and cut it like that. Something small like this is great. Something small like that is great. And something small like that is great. But something like this, I need to use my loppers because it's so big. I won't be able to do anything else but use these loppers. Let's see if I can go ahead and cut it. There we go. You can see how the wood is trying to heal itself. But it may not ever really be able to close totally because of the buck rub. Because this is an area where it didn't have a chance to really get a good healing area out of it. Okay, I'm going to get these out of the way also. There we go. Okay, now we got all of the rootstock that the plant had been grafted on. We got all of that removed. And we're still going to have to kind of keep an eye on that every year, check to make sure that it doesn't start to sprout. We're going to have to go ahead and cut it back again. The other thing is I kind of want to share with you guys where you should trim, because a lot of people say, I have no idea how far back I'm supposed to trim. So all trees have what they call a collar. So if you come up, let's see, can you come up right here? See how there's like a swelling area right around here, and then from here up, it's different. So this part right here, the little swelling area, that's called the collar of the tree. And this part of the tree right there is full of a lot of different hormones that allow the tree to heal cleanly without leaving a funky looking scar like I have on the trunk of the tree. So that's what you want to look for when you're going to go ahead and trim something. The first thing I want to do though is I want to go ahead and look and see what we have here. You want to trim out everything that's dead first, and then plants or branches that are crossing. Like for instance, this branch right here is really pretty. It's got gorgeous flowers on it, but it's hitting this one right there. And the more the wind would blow, the more that's going to break apart. So I'm actually going to cut this one completely off. Now you see where the collar is on this is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this little one first. I hate to take off the buds, but I'm going to have to do it. There we go. Trim that off. Now this stuff right here is too big, so I have to use my loppers. And here's the collar, so I'm going to trim it right above the collar. And right here. Now, one thing I want you to see, it's so pretty, is that when I trimmed it, there was already some dead wood in there. Go ahead and just clean this up a little bit. There we go. See how that wood is dead already? And so that's actually able to go into the major trunk of the tree. And that's not good. So we'll have to keep an eye on that also. Okay. I'm also going to go ahead and prune out this large branch here because I think it's a little too far down. So there we go. That also has the same problem. Interesting. Maybe just characteristic of the tree. And then this one right here. Get on this side. That was dead. Okay. Now this branch right here is going to grow into this. So I'm definitely going to trim that real quick. I'm going to get that one out of the way. Now this one looks like it's totally dead, so let me go ahead and prune that out totally. Okay, there we go. Good. Definitely dead. All right, let's see. What else? This is where you get to have fun, choosing what you should take out, what will be a problem eventually, like that would be. Let's see, that's fine. This doesn't look like it's alive. There we go. Yeah, that was dead. Open that up a little bit. Now see how this branch right here is going to be branching and bumping into that? So this one I'll go ahead and take off also, right there. There we go. And by opening it up like this, the plant will actually be a lot healthier. Now we're going to have to put some deer protection around it again too, so I want to make sure I get all the small stuff done. Oh, that looks so much better. Okay. Taking a look at it from this angle. You always have to walk around the tree to see what you've got. This one is definitely going to be rubbing. When you take something off as tiny as this, it really heals very, very quickly. So the larger the stem that you take off, the larger the branch you take off, the longer it's going to take to heal. Again, because this is springtime, it's going to heal much, much faster. So that'll be nice. So we could come out here in the fall and take a look and see how well it's healed. Hopefully everything will be fine. You can see where the buck did some rubbing up here, as well as here. And you saw down here already, but that's frustrating. But you know, when you live in the country, that's what you often get. So I'm going to get this one off too. The more you look at it, the more you realize, oh, I need to prune this one off too. So this one right here, it's easy to see where the collar is. Let me go ahead and just put it right there. There we go. Beautiful. Now, when you're pruning something, you don't want to take anything more than 20% of the tree off. Now, when we trimmed the bottom part of the tree, it looked like it was just all flowers, but in the springtime, there would have been a lot of foliage there too, and the tree was utilizing that foliage to grow really well. So we've trimmed up some of the major branches here and all the old small stuff that was coming up from the roots. So we have gone ahead and removed a good deal of the leaves that were going to be actively collecting solar energy and taking the sunlight and the oxygen and the carbon from the air and all the water nutrients, and they'll be making sugars for the tree. And we've removed some of that. So it's going to have to tighten its belt. But what's going to happen is all the leaves that come out from here in the springtime are going to go down to the roots and say, we need to have more energy to fill up the area and get us more tree leaves and maybe more branches. If I had pruned the roots at the same time, there would have been a disconnect. So this way we left the roots just as they were. And now we've got some really good communication for the roots to the leaves, and soon this will have a lot of really good leaves and it'll heal itself a lot faster. So that's really good. I could spend another 3 hours on this, but we'll just go ahead and look at something else. I have some roses I want to share with you guys. They can be interesting to work with. Okay, let's check that out. Now, it's probably always best when you're dealing with roses to wear gloves that are good for roses. I don't have a pair of those, so I'm going to be Very careful. So for this, with a climbing rose, all you really need to do is just a little bit of mild shaping, but most of all, get out what's really dead. This right here is definitely dead. And I think it's already been pruned. Hold on a second. Yep. Okay, when that happens, sometimes you just sort of take it apart, part of the plant by part of the plant. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one down too. Right there. You never know until you start working what you're going to find. Okay, there we go. Okay, the other thing I want to do is just do a little bit of trimming up. And like for instance, this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and prune it so that it grows out. The way this is growing, if I pruned it right here, this branch would grow in that direction. I'm going to go ahead and prune it right here so that it won't. Now, I want to make sure that I've got it so that I'm not leaving a really tall piece like that. That's way too, whoops, sorry. That's way too tall. And so I'm going to go ahead and just prune it just like that. There we go. And this one, the same way. Just prune it right there. Good. Marvelous. Now this is one that's kind of coming out, and every time I mow the grass, it comes and gets to me, so I'll go ahead and prune that off. There we go. Things are looking up. Much, much better. There we go. That part looks like it's gone. Okay, good. So I can go ahead and clean out that right now, but I think you guys get the general idea of what you have to do. If you do have a chance to have a good pair of gloves, that's really important because these are very, very sharp spines. Let's see, that is dead down here. There we go. Okay, now this rose bush is actually grown on its own rootstock. So anything that comes up from the roots of this one will be just fine. So even if this died all the way down to the ground, it would still come back true, which is important. A lot of trees, especially roses, are pruned so that they're on a grafted rootstock, but that doesn't always make it better. There we go. And here is the last. Now you can see it's more open, more sunshine, more blossoms will come. This will actually, I'll go ahead and tie this back up over to the trellis, and we've got a gorgeous rose. One of my favorite flowers is the daffodil, and these are just spectacular. This one is called Las Vegas, which is real cool. Daffodils don't require a lot of care. They like to be planted where they get full sun or under the shade of deciduous trees. Deciduous means the leaves fall off in the fall. And that gives them all spring to go ahead and have their foliage right here, get all the grass color that they need from the sun and all the energy from the sun. What you can do every now and then is cut off the dead blossoms just like this. There we go. You can leave it down there, you can collect it however you want. Don't, please don't braid the leaves because it may look neater to you, but they need as much energy as they can get because as these flowers are actively blooming, these leaves are actually pulling a lot of energy down now to the bulb to make flowers for next year. And you want to have gorgeous flowers for next year. So just leave them be. The one thing you could do is plant some annuals in front of the daffodils, and as these start to fade and turn a little funky color, then your annuals will be big and gorgeous and you'll see them instead of these guys. When these start turning yellow, then you can go ahead and remove them. But we have so many gorgeous daffodils. Let me introduce you to a couple. I love the smell of these gorgeous hyacinths. To me, this is the smell of springtime. They are so fragrant. What's nice about the hyacinths, they, like the daffodils, are very, very tolerant of cold, of heat, and like the daffodils, they're not tasty. So deer and squirrels will leave them alone. I love the fragrance. I love the fact that they come in all these gorgeous colors, pure white, soft yellows, pinks, blues, dark purples, really, really pretty ones. And they all smell fragrant, so beautiful. Now the daffodils, they're really cool. They come in so many different colors, so I have to share some. This is the typical daffodil with a beautiful dark yellow. It has a golden trumpet. This part right here is the trumpet, and this is the crown, which is so pretty, lovely. And this one is called a split or a butterfly because the trumpet is flat. Makes it really, really pretty. This one right here is pure white. So the trumpet is white, as is the crown. That's kind of unusual. Usually you don't have that. This one here is, instead of having a large trumpet, this is what they call a small cup daffodil. Kind of fun. This one is neat. This is pink. Well, it's more of a salmon color. But if I added lime to the soil, it'd be even more pink, which is kind of fun. This is a double. Isn't that neat? All the different petals. This is not really good for pollinators. All the other ones are very good for pollinators, but they are still awesome in the garden. And this is not quite a jonquil and not quite a daffodil. Jonquils have more than two, but they are really, really cool to have the two flowers. See, there's 1 and 2. So they're just wonderful. And like I say, these are poisonous, so if you go ahead and plant them in your garden, not a thing is going to eat them at all. So don't you eat them either. Well, thank you for joining me, Delmarva Gardens, right here on Pack 14.